Welcome to the MLB 2020 postseason prediction show. I'm your host AJ with my co-host Ryan. And to start here, we're going to review our original playoff predictions. So for me, I successfully predicted the positioning of 5 of the teams total and got 14 teams in the field right. I was much more successful in the NL where I got 4.
Well, I got 12 of the 16 right. I mean, obviously we both predicted the Yankees and Dodgers to be 1 seeds in each of the leagues. Dodgers did fulfill that. Yankees fell a bit short, but they're still in the bracket. Some glaring ones that I got wrong were the Angels and the Red Sox, but I'll live with those.
Yeah, and then for me, of course, the Yankees fell up short, but I am proud of my prediction for the A's, and then the Sox actually making the playoffs I feel proud of, but I will tell you that I just swung and missed on the Red Sox. That was terrible out of me, and then the Phillies, the only other team that didn't make it. They were only a couple games out, so I won't sweat that one too much. All right, let's get into the brackets. So let's start with the AL first round. I have a shocking upset in the 8 versus 1 seed matchup. We've got the Blue Jays. They're playing great baseball right now. We've got Bo Bichette, Jim Ryu, and the whole compartment there. I think a 3-game series, there's going to be upsets, whether you think so or not. There could be more than even I have. But I've got the Blue Jays in this one. They're playing good ball. And while Tampa Bay is also playing good baseball, I just have to see. There's no fans in the stands. Both teams are used to the dome. So besides travel, the Blue Jays will be right at home, and they will take that. Then in the Yankees-Indians series, I just see the Indians getting overpowered despite having the better record. I feel like the Yankees have just been saving up this whole time. Garrett Cole will go out there, he'll get that dominant win, and he'll set them off the right foot. They might even sweep this, but in the end, I've got the Yankees winning this series. And then Twins-Astros. Astros, they've got Verlander injured. They have the rest of the compartment, but they just, Springer, Altuve, they haven't been playing very well this year. And I don't think they're just going to all of a sudden flip the switch and turn it on for the playoffs. I've got the Twins. They've got a lot of good pieces there, and I think we'll take that series. And then the 2-7 matchup, I like the Sox. They've got Giolito and Tim Anderson, but the A's, they're stacked. And even though they weren't great against the Mariners at the end of the season, they kind of trotted their way in, maybe knowing that the White Sox were actually better than the Astros. They end up with the 2 seed anyways, but they are loaded. They've got Laureano in the outfield, Matt Olson. They lost Matt Chapman, but I think they'll be able to make up for it, and they will take this series. Ryan?
In the AL, I'm going to have Tampa Bay beating the Blue Jays in the first round. I did not predict Tampa Bay to win the division earlier in the year, but I knew that they had a solid core and a great staff that would propel them to a pretty good playoff positioning. Obviously, they get the 1 seed, a 40-win season, and they're just not going to crash out in the first round of the Blue Jays. So I have them winning there. And then the Indians and the Yankees, both 2 teams that I was very high on early in the season. I both predicted them to win the division. Both came up a little bit short. I'm going to have the Yankees. I just think they're a better team. Definitely the most talented, as DJ LeMahieu said in a quote today. So I'm going to say that they're going to win. And then I think this one's going to be a very compelling series. Probably go to that 3rd game. Very entertaining. But I'm going to say that the Astros are going to beat the Twins. Twins are very bad in the postseason. I think they got swept last year in a very pitiful performance against the Yankees in the ALDS last year. Astros, a great playoff team, no doubt. Obviously, last 3 years, although 2017 was because of the scandals. And then the A's and White Sox, this might be a trap series. Watch out for any of these upsets where because it's only a 3-game series in this wild card round. So if the better team loses the first game, they might be in some trouble, but I think the A's have a great core. AJ mentioned the pitchers. Liam Hendriks really coming on as the closer this year. So I think that'll propel them to that first round victory.
All right, and then for the NL in the first round, I've just got the Dodgers taking it to the Brewers. This one's over in 2. They're just loaded from top to bottom. This team has not slid the whole year. They won almost 2/3 of their games, if not 2/3. So, but naturally they'll win 2 out of 3 here, right? Loaded lineup, loaded pitching staff. I love the young arm talent in Dustin May, although he may not actually pitch in this series, but we'll see. And then in the second matchup, I've got the Padres overtaking the Cards. The Padres are really, that 4 line is too high for them. They should really be like the 2 or the 3 seed by their record, but this team's just loaded. They've got Tatis, they've got Machado, they've got Chris Paddock, they've got the closer, they've got all the parts, and they're going to take this series here. And then I've got the Cubs and the Marlins. I'm just, I do not think the Marlins are the better team, but the Cubs did not really show me anything for the first 40 games of that season. So, I'll take Miami. They had a horrible run differential, but they've gotten very lucky thus far. I don't think the Cubs are that good, and I've just got Miami winning here. And then for the Braves Cincy matchup, I was high on the Reds to start the season, but I was even higher on the Braves. They have so much talent. Freeman, Acuna, they've got the pitching talent as well. They've got good run scoring. I've got them taking this one easy money.
In my NL first round predictions, I'm going to have the Dodgers beating the Brewers. I was very high on these two teams to start out the season. I think I had these as the 2 top seeds earlier in the year. And now they're playing in the first round, but the Dodgers have so much talent. And the Brewers weren't playing good down the stretch. They don't really deserve a playoff berth due to the fact that they are below 500. But in it anyway, they have Yelich and a great lineup. So, they could win the series, but I'm going to take the Dodgers and the talent. And then a very sketchy series for the Padres, who have been playing very well. 37 wins in the regular season against the Cardinals, who only had 30 wins. But I'm going to take the Padres narrowly here. They have a great lineup. Tatis, obviously the headliner, and then Myers as well. And then the Cubs and the Marlins. The Cubs surprised me this season, especially down the stretch, those last 20 games where they sealed up this division. And then the Marlins really embarrassed the league this year. I don't think they're all that good. They really clutched out some close games, especially early in the season. And they had a lot of doubleheaders, so I think it was pretty fluky how they got into the playoffs. But this is going to be pretty close, so I wouldn't be shocked if the Marlins won this. And then an upset here, I have the Reds defeating the Braves. Braves, as I mentioned with the Twins, aren't a good postseason team, stereotypically throughout recent history. And the Reds, I was very high on early before the season, and their lineup is still capable of a lot. They were great down the stretch in securing that 7 spot, so I'm going to have them taking this.
All right, so I'll just finish up the AL here. In the Blue Jays matchup against the Yankees, I just don't see the Blue Jays being able to pull off the magnitude upset that they did in the first round, because really, let's be honest, the Yankees are just as good in every way as the Rays when it gets down to it, and they're really trying in playoff mode. But when this moves on to the 5-game series, I just don't see the Blue Jays being able to keep up. I've got the Yankees there. And then the Twins-A's matchup, A's are just a deeper team here. The Twins are pretty good, but they kind of fluked their way in because that AL Central is just not really that good, to be honest. They had the White Sox. They got 3 teams, but come on. None of them are really that good, plus they're playing pretty bad NL opponents. So I've got the A's there. And then in the A's-Yankees matchup, I have the A's getting revenge on the 2018 wildcard game. And in a full 7-game series, I see the A's taking this one. They've got pretty similar teams, and, the A's are just definitely the less deep squad. But, they've got that 2 seed for a reason. They've got depth throughout the lineup. Maybe even Chris Davis will turn it on. Machine. Mark Canha, and among others, Laureano. I mentioned him earlier, and then I see the pitching staff. This is going to be a pitching battle, even though there is some great hitting talent on both sides. I see this one going down to the pitching, and I've got the A's. Ryan?
In my ALDS and ALCS, so first off, I'm going to take the Yankees as you did, but this over the Rays. A 5-game series, this is probably going to Game 5. This is going to be very entertaining. The Rays got the best of them in those regular season matchups, but in this longer version of the series, I don't think that the Rays are going to be able to match up. The Yankees are going to have too much offense for that great staff, so I'm going to barely take them over the Rays here. And then another divisional matchup in this ALDS is the Astros against the A's, and this is a very sketchy series for the A's, as I said with the White Sox, because they were not good historically against the Astros until this season. And who knows, the Astros could really turn in a playoff run this year. But in a 5-game series, I'm going to take the better team and the better roster throughout this year. I, too, have the Yankees and the A's in the ALCS, but I'm going to take the better team, the most talented team in the AL, and the Yankees to win. I really think they're going to put everything together here, so I have them going to the World Series.
And then in my West second round, I've got a Dodgers-Padres matchup. This has been extremely close throughout the season, and I'm just going to take the Padres here. Both teams have played just as talented. The Padres kind of stormed back late and went on a huge run. But besides that, if you take the second half of the season, the Padres have been, if not the better team, at least just as good as the Dodgers and playing a very similar schedule. And then Marlins, Braves, yeah, as I said with the Blue Jays, the run's just, it can't go past the 3 games. They've just been so lucky. I mean, it could, but 5-game series, the Braves are just the better team. Even if they lose the first 2, I've got them coming back for 5. And the Braves moving on. And then the Braves against the Padres. Whether it's the Padres or the Dodgers here, I just do not see any team in this bottom half even being able to contend with the Padres or the Dodgers. And so, thus, I have the Padres going to the World Series.
So in the NLDS, I have the Padres taking the series over LA. LA got out to a choppy start in the season, but really picked up steam. Very entertaining games against San Diego earlier this season, but I think that this is San Diego's year. After all of the bad history in this last decade, they finally have a great team, rally off each other. So I'm going to be taking them to win the series over the very good Dodgers team. And then another divisional matchup, NL Central, Cubs versus Reds. And this one's very close. But in a 5-game series, you've got to lean towards the better team, and that's what I did. I think this one could come down to the Game 5, but I'm just going to be taking the talented Cubs lineup, Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, to take the series. And then Cubs versus Padres, I think this one's pretty easy. I largely think that the top of this NL bracket is much better than the bottom. I think this might be a sweep or a gentleman's sweep in this NLCS, and I'm going to be taking a very well-rounded Padres team to advance to the World Series.
All right, and then in my World Series, I've got A's Padres, a West Coast matchup. We've seen this before. It'll be on a neutral site, so none of that matters at this point. And I believe the Padres got the better of the A's in the series, if not a tie. But I've just got the A's overpowering them in the World Series. Anything can happen 7 games. And I think the A's overall have a better pitching staff, far deeper at least, and the Padres more excel at the hitting. I see this being a defensive series, especially since it's being played in Texas and now indoors. Not necessarily the most offensive ballpark, although San Diego has had success there, as you saw by the Tatis home run when they scored a lot of runs in that series against the Rangers. But anywho, I've got the A's in 6 games, because if it goes to 7, they'll probably lose because they're on like a 7 or 8 game win streak or losing streak in elimination games. But that is who I have. I've got the A's.
In my World Series, Padres representing the NL as well against the Yankees. This one's going to be a very fun series, but I'm just going to take the team with the better chemistry, and that's the Padres. They'll be able to rally when they're down. The Yankees, they haven't shown that yet, and maybe they get there along this playoff run that I have them going on, but for now, I'm going to take the Padres. The pitching staff is great. If they're good enough to take down the Dodgers, as I'm predicting they are, the great offense of LA, then they will be able to take this against a powerful New York offense. So I'm going to say that the Padres win this series.
All right, thank you for watching.